Many people have been requesting a Baimo guide, and here it is. I am the rank 1 Baimo, and my aim with this video is to give you everything you need so you will never have to watch another Baimo guide again. I will split this video into 5 main parts: positioning, abilities, how to take fights, upgrades and awakenings, and some more extra tips like what nades to use. Real quick, I just wanted to say that I put a lot of effort into this video. It would mean a lot if you could subscribe to the channel. I'll be working to get a lot more Strinova content out of you guys, so stay tuned. Also, I stream quite a lot on my Twitch. It would mean a lot if you would follow me there. I'll put a link in the description. So, let's get started with number 1, positioning. Baimo is arguably the character most reliant on positioning in Strinova. As he has a shotgun, it is so important that you position yourself so that you cannot get caught out in his bad ranges. I'll take a deeper dive into that in the fighting section. A great strategy to run on Baimo is to hold close angles with a right hand peek and wait for the enemies to come to you. Let's go into a custom to have a look at some of these peeks. The right hand peek is so much stronger than the left hand because the camera is on the right side of the character. Even though I'm literally inside the wall pretty much, I can still kind of shoot these people that would be there. But if I take this on the left side, I really can't see anything even though I'm in the same position. And I can't shoot, I have to peek out way wider. I have to expose my whole body just to even get a chance at shooting. But here on the right side I only have to expose about half. So here we are on base 404. This is one of the peaks I like to play at the start of the round. I'll usually run this on most rounds. It's kind of my default area. Peaks like this are really strong because mid is really important on this map. So people will start pushing down through mid and they'll start pushing into you. What makes this position so strong is if anyone comes into this area, you can immediately get a right hand peek on them. Shoot, maybe shoot twice, and immediately just de-peek. And they don't even get a chance to shoot back at you. And as you know with Baimo, 2 shots is enough to kill someone. Also with the position, if you do get shot, you can immediately dash back and get out. There is another really strong position in A heaven, as people once again have to push into you. As soon as they push into you, you can get the right hand peek, immediately peek someone, de-peek, and they really just don't get a chance to shoot back at you. And this is what makes Baimo's positioning so strong. Positions like this, as soon as they push you, you can insta-kill them and they don't get a chance to shoot back. Here is a great example of what I was talking about. Here I position myself in one of the spots I showed you, and Yvette tries to push me. Even though they're on the wall and the movement is quite good here, because of my positioning I managed to get a quick 2-tap on them and get back out before the sniper can kill me. I then immediately reposition to take another right hand peek on the sniper in heaven. Mechanics of the fight is not the point here. The point is the positioning that allowed me to take those fights really easily and allowed me to get out even if I had whiffed. Here is another example of a really strong right hand peek. The enemies can only retake from here or from heaven, so I wait for a push to start the retake and cash in on my free kill. Once again, notice that the mechanics are not impressive. The positioning set me up for an easy kill. Obviously, the enemy isn't always going to come to you. For example, if you're attacking Kochi, and there's people holding you CT, there's people holding you heaven, and you have to push somewhere. So in this spot, you want to use your dash to try and close the distance between the enemies. You want to use your dash into a safe position, and then you can jump up to fight. For example, I like to run through here and then dash under to this part. This means that the enemies from heaven can't shoot you, but you have a free jump up onto anyone trying to push. Once again, you're trying to wait for these pushes and take good peeks on people. Also, if you're safe from CT and you want to push heaven from a different angle, you can dash up to heaven from here and get behind the box. Once again, you're trying to close the space with your dash and get closer to the enemies this way. Then you can engage in fights on whoever will be here. I will cover soon how I managed to get so much height with that dash. So now it's time for part 2, abilities. I'm going to go more in depth on what its abilities are and how you can use them, and some few hidden techs that are really crucial for Baimo's kit. As with every character in Strinova, Baimo has 2 abilities and a passive. His active skill is his dash. It comes out straight away and sends him at a short distance. When you have no awakenings, enemies will be able to see your dash as you will not go invisible. But if you get awakening free Trickster, then when you dash, you'll be behind a clone and your dash will be fully invisible. This is really strong, because it means that the enemy has no idea where you're dashing from, especially if you dash onto them, which means you can net a really quick kill. Baimo's passive is called Dance Shackle, and whenever you deal 50 damage to an opponent in one shot, it will block them from going into paper mode. If I do 50 damage to this guy, you'll see an icon will come up on his chest. This means that he's locked out of paper mode for that duration, and when it goes away, he can go back into paper mode again. Here, if I do less than 50 damage, the passive won't activate and he can still go into paper. This passive is really strong in taking fights, as it means you can chase people down, and if you get one shot over 50, you can usually burn the kill. Lastly is Baimo's ultimate, where he places down a beacon. If he gets killed while this beacon is down on the ground, then he'll get teleported back to the beacon, and he'll have 100 health again. This ult acts as another life for Baimo, and allows you to take fights without worrying about death. The beacon only has 100 health, and someone can shoot it and destroy the beacon, meaning that your ult is now gone, and if you die now, you'll be downed. Baimo's ultimate lasts for around 19 seconds, and it costs 6 points to recharge it. First of all, ignore the little ability next to my ult. That's a different game mode, and it's not important. Baimo's dash has now been changed so that it has a longer cooldown, and it doesn't reset on kill anymore. Instead, there's a % cooldown reduction for each pellet you hit with your gun. If you dash, you'll see that the cooldown is 20 seconds, but for each pellet I hit, the cooldown goes back down. For each pellet hit, there's a 3% reduction in the cooldown, from the max cooldown. This means that even if you have 20 seconds left of the cooldown, or 10 seconds, the 3% will take away from 20 seconds. This means you need at most 3 shots to reset the cooldown. I'll leave this up to you whether you think it's a buff or a nerf. Some people are saying it's a buff, some people are saying it's a nerf, so what do you think? Baimo has a tech called Super Dash. This is relatively easy to perform, and all it requires you to do is press Q, jump, and then look up, in that order. So Q, jump, look up. And if you do that correctly, you'll gain a lot more height than if you just dashed on the ground. It allows you to get on spots really quickly with a dash. For example, you can also get up even higher if you combine the super dash with a double jump and then a paper glide. So I'm going to do the same super dash motion, and then I'll jump and go paper. Like that. And that's how you get the maximum height from a super dash. So this ledge looks really high up, but if I do the super dash tech I just told you about, along with the jump paper mode afterwards, I'll be able to get on top of it. There is also a more niche tech that Baimo can do called a fake dash. This is only done with Awakening free, as you need the clone to do it. This is performed by dashing and immediately flicking your character to the left or to the right. This way, your clone will look in the direction you were initially looking, but your dash will go in the other direction. Here's an example. As you can see, I dashed to the right, but the clone was still looking forward. You can do this backwards as well. This can be really strong in fights, especially if you get caught off guard. Here's a great example of a fake dash from one of my videos. This shell gets me really low, and then I fake dash to the right. You can see them turn their head around because I thought I dashed behind them. It's important to note that for the fake dash you have to flick very quickly. If you don't flick fast enough, then the clone will slightly start turning and reveal where you dash to. A quick mention with the passive is that doing over 50 damage with his secondaries does not pop it. Here I did 100 with the deagle, but the passive did not pop. Now it's time for the most exciting part. Part 3, fighting. I'll be showing you my default way to take fights, and how I use my abilities to get an advantage. Whenever I fight someone, I always try and get up as close and in their face as I can, because this is Baimo's best range. You have to be within 10 meters to do the most damage, which is surprisingly quite far away for his shotgun. Your main goal in fights with Baimo is to jump around the opponent, and try and throw off their aim as much as you can. You can do this most easily by jumping around their head, like this. This tracking overhead is one of the hardest things to do for the opponent, but for you it's a lot easier. Whenever you're 5 or less meters away from the opponent, my favorite thing to do is to hip fire. This is because you're in enough range so that your crosshair is still fully accurate and on them, but you can get the most damage while having the highest movement speed. Anywhere past the 5 meter mark, you want to shoulder fire. This is so that you still get most of your pellets hitting them, even though you're a little bit further away. A very useful tip to know is that you will lose momentum if you stay shoulder aiming while jumping in the other direction, like this. You see how Baimo loses a lot of his momentum? The way you can stop this is by quickly unshoulder firing and going back into it. And Baimo will keep his momentum. I'm still trying to learn this myself as it's quite tricky, but it's a really good way to keep your momentum. You can also do this with ADS, but we're Baimo players so we don't know what ADS is. If you want, you can go into the range and just practice tracking your opponent while jumping around them like this. Practice hip firing and practice shoulder firing. Getting down Baimo's simple movement like this, so all you can think about is your aim in the fight, makes it a lot easier to win more fights more often. So this is the main when you're always going to take fights, and this is the best way to do it. If you're outside of the 10 meters range, you can try and take some shots at your opponent, but it won't do too much damage. Do this if you absolutely have to, but try and avoid playing outside of the 10 meter range. It's important to note that even if you're outside the 10 meter range, you still don't want to use ADS. ADS sucks. The only other reason you should be shooting shots outside of this range is if you want to get the cooldown reduction from hitting pellets on people. One thing to mention is that when you're fighting people and they're not papered, You want to shoot at their chest or their head. This is where you're going to hit the most pellets and it also does the most damage. However, if you're really close and on top of the opponent, the best thing to do is aim to head. This way you can do loads of damage and sometimes even 2-tap them. When the enemy is papered, you want to aim at their hands. As you can see, the hands come out a bit more than the rest, and that means you can hit more pellets. Here's a little demonstration. However, if someone is looking at you in paper like this, you want to try and jump around them so that you can get more part of their body to shoot. Jumping around them like this is also a great way to confuse them because they have to look at you to get this slide on paper effect, so you'll manage to get more shots off. Obviously I mentioned this before, but I want to reiterate it once again. The right hand peeks are just so crucial for this character. Like a right hand peek versus left hand peek could be the reason you win a round or lose a round. Abuse them as much as you can. Another thing I want to mention is that when you're on a wall and about to fight someone by jumping up, you want to jump up slightly down from the wall, so that as your gun comes out, you just peek them. If you jump from the top of the wall like this, there's going to be a long time you're exposed without your gun being out. As you can see, there's a long time before I can shoot there. If I jump from down here, I can shoot immediately as I see him. As you do this, like when you're jumping on the ground, you want to jump from one side to the other, just to mix up their aim as much as possible. Every single time you want to take a fight, you want to be jumping across them like this. Unless you're in a really specific situation, where jumping to the left will get you into cover or something like that. For example, if I was fighting this guy, I jump to the left and jump again to get behind the cover. Now it's time to go over Baimo's upgrades and awakenings. They can completely change the way he plays, and completely change his gun at the same time. I'll be going over which awakenings I like to use, and which combos of upgrades I like to use, and I'll show you which I think is better for each different playstyle of Baimo. Baimo's abilities change the way you use his gun quite a lot. On the first round, a lot of people like to go spread control. However, I think the rate of fire is the better option. This is because you only have to get used to one version of the gun. For example, if you bought spread control, it could be at least 2 rounds until you get to buy rate of fire. This means you have to get used to 2 versions of Baimo's gun, and I don't think that's optimal. The difference in rate of fire is quite significant, and it makes it a lot harder to get used to the timing for each version of his gun. After round 1, if you won the round and you have enough to buy armor, then you buy armor. If you don't have enough to buy armor, then you sell and buy armor. Buying armor round 2 is imperative. Armor is very, very important, and you want to go light armor on Baimo. Light armor regens if you take damage, however heavy armor doesn't. With heavy armor you get 125, and with light armor you get 100. So it's a 25 armor difference, but the 25 armor is in trade for regen. And because Baimo is usually playing solo quite a lot of the time, and because Baimo will be playing solo a lot of the time, it means if you take damage from your solo fights, and you don't have to play close to Celestia, for example. So, now you've bought rate of fire and your armor, and you'll notice that you get Awakening 1. This Awakening triggers a blurred screen effect when you hit people with your passive. So now you've seen what Awakening 1 looks like, we can move on to the rest of the abilities. After these 2 upgrades, you want to go for spread control. This will greatly reduce the amount of spread that you see on my shotgun here. Let me show you before, and I'll show you after. So yeah, this greatly reduces the spread on this shotgun, and it means that you can hit more pellets from further away. Spread control and rate of fire are the most important upgrades in my opinion. Increased bullets increases your pellets from 12 to 15, however it reduces the damage he does. As you can see when I hover over, the values on the right are the damage after I buy this upgrade. This makes Baimo weaker at its best range, and it can be really tough to kill opponents with less damage. This is why I think rate of fire is better overall. As for spread control, you can also buy sprint speed, which increases your movement speed from 60 to 65. However, this upgrade does not make much of a difference, whereas spread control makes a huge difference. Next up, depending on your amount of money, you either want to go for a yellow upgrade or another blue upgrade. The 2 yellow upgrades are cooldown minus 4 seconds and 2 times auto reload capacity. Baimo's cooldown on his dash is usually 19 seconds. If you buy this upgrade, his dash is now on a 15-second cooldown. If you didn't know, when Baimo dashes, he reloads 2 bullets. As you can see, my ammo went from 4 to 6. With this 2 times auto reload capacity upgrade, now when I dash, I reload 4 bullets. Personally, I think 2 times auto reload capacity is better here. This is because, with the new pellet reduction cooldown, most of the time, you're shooting people to get your dash back instead of letting it wait for time anyway. It's because with rate of fire, you're shooting a lot more bullets. This means that you'll run out of ammo faster, and having that dash to get a bunch of bullets back can really help you in a pinch. If you do not have enough money for the yellow upgrade, then you should go for either effective range or stringified damage. Here's what its paper damage looks like without stringified damage. Here's what it looks like with stringified damage. As you can see, it's quite a significant difference, and I also even popped the passive with it. If you hit someone with the passive while they're in paper, if they come out of paper, they cannot go back in again. This means that if someone comes out of paper to fight you, they aren't allowed to go back into it, and it can be crucial to win a fight. Effective range means you can do damage to people a longer distance. As you can see, my damage at 20 meters is going up. Here's my damage without effective range. Consistent 67, and here it is with effective range. As you can see, it was only a 5 damage difference, and it really doesn't change much. Effective range used to be better, but recently there were buffs to paper mode, which means people take more reduced damage when they're in paper mode against you. For this reason, and the fact that effective range doesn't make much difference to damage anymore, I think that stringified damage is the better option. One thing I should mention is that if you win a round, when you sell any abilities, it only gives you 50% of what you would actually get. So for example, the blue abilities sell for 150, and the yellow and green sell for 250. If I won the previous round, then I would only get 75 back from the blue ability. However, if I lose the previous round, you get all of your money. If you have an upgrade path like this, and you lose the previous round, then you should sell stringified damage and get the yellow upgrade. Now, your next priority should be to get a green upgrade. The 2 green upgrades are stringified movement speed plus 15%, or stringified damage reduction plus 25%. These are self-explanatory and makes you faster in paper, whether it be jumping like this, or whether it's moving on a wall, or if it's moving on the ground. This is where I would like to mention a difference for playstyles of Baimos. If you like to rush people down, and are constantly running at people, and you're very movement heavy, then I would recommend going for the movement speed upgrade. This means you can close distances faster. It also allows you to get back into cover faster. However, if you're a slower style kind of Baimo, and you like to play more passive, I would recommend a damage reduction. This is because if you're playing passive Baimo, you are most likely playing more with your teammates. The real strength of this upgrade is that if someone is shooting you and your teammates are around you, you can paper so that it's really hard for them to do damage to you while your teammates fry them. As some of you probably saw, when I bought this upgrade, I have now activated Awakening 3. I covered Awakening 3 earlier in the video, but I didn't cover Awakening 2, and there's a reason for this. The reason is that Awakening 2 is really bad. Awakening 3, of course, is where your dash becomes invisible when you leave behind a clone. This is very strong because of the tech that comes with it, like the fake dash. The main part of Awakening 3 is the fact that you become invisible when you dash, and that is really, really strong. It lets you surprise people as they have to look for you before they can actually shoot you. And having way more time on Baimo is such a privilege, especially when you're dashing up close to people. For example, without Awakening 3, this guy can see me the entire way I dash to him. That means that he can get an advantage on me and shoot me before I can shoot him. If I get Awakening 3, he has to spend the time to look for me, and it means I can get at least one free shot. And it changes the swing of the fight from advantage to the other person to advantage for me. Awakening 2 flashes any enemies you bump into while dashing. Here's what it looks like on the enemy's face, similar to the passive. While this is good, it doesn't prevent them from going into paper. So if you ever hit someone with 1-2, they go into paper immediately. So if you ever hit an enemy who's ready for it with 1-2, they're just going to go into paper. I have seen some strats where people play 1-2, flash them, and then bring out a sword, but honestly, this is really niche, and 1-3 is just better, I'm sorry to say. So, now you've got an upgrade path that looks sort of like this. Where should you go next? Personally, I think even if you have enough money for this dance shahu upgrade, I think you should go for stringified damage first. Stringified damage is really, really important because of the passive demonstration I showed earlier. And also I think it's a really good habit to get into using because against better players, they'll be going into paper when you shoot them a lot. After stringified damage, depending on your money, if you have enough for dance shahu upgrade, then you should go for that. But if you don't have enough, you should go for one of these blue upgrades. Magazine capacity increases your max ammo from 9 to 12. This can be very useful, as I said, because of the fact that you're shooting so much more with this rate of fire upgrade. So having more ammo straight off the bat is really good. However, I think I'll note here that for different playstyles, I think different upgrades are better. For example, once again, if you're playing aggro Baimo, you're going to be using this dash a lot to get your ammo back, and you're going to be up in their face, which means you don't really have time to reload. This means you should start off with more ammo so you can potentially get more kills before you're forced to stand back to reload. However, I think with a more passive Baimo, reload speed is probably the better option. This is because you'll be taking a few shots and then going back to reload. And last but not least is the dance shahu upgrade. Dance shahu, of course, being Baimo's passive. This upgrade changes the duration of his passive by 0.5 seconds. Here's how long it lasts for without the upgrade. And here's how long it lasts for with the upgrade. As you can see, it's quite a bit longer. However, the reason I don't go for this upgrade over the dash upgrade is because of the fact that if you hit someone with your passive, most likely you're going to be able to hit them again. And if you hit someone with enough damage again, it reprocs the passive. What I mean by this is if the passive is active on someone and you hit them again, the passive timer resets, so you can constantly keep someone from not being able to go into paper. So this is my normal upgrade path for Baimo, and this is what I go to every day. Note the awakenings I have here. 1 free. Do not go 1-2. I promise you it is not worth it. Alright, so now we're on to the final part. Part 5, extra tips. I wanted to save this part just to put in any other miscellaneous ideas that I couldn't fit into the other categories. This will be things such as where to ult, some more dash spots, and I'll even show you what nades you should use. I'm going to start off by showing you some dash spots, but I will preface by saying I'm only going to show a couple maps. I want you to get the general idea of how you can use your dashes on some maps, and you can apply that knowledge to different maps. In the future I can make a full dash guide if people are interested in that, so let me know in the comments what you think. So I got asked by someone in the comments, what should you do if you're playing on higher ping and you want to play Baimo?
I will protect you whenever you need me.
Okay, but for real though, this character has a lot less potential on high ping because everything he does is delayed. A lot of the time you'll kill people when you're really low, and if you're on high ping then you'll just end up trading or you won't even get the kill. Along with the delayed dash timings, it can be really tough. It's definitely possible, but you're playing on hard mode for sure. My biggest piece of advice is just to practice the timings with that higher ping. Super dashes are possible on high ping, however what you need to do is delay the jump and the look up, so it'll look more like pressing the dash button, waiting for however long your ping is, and then pressing jump and looking up. This can be quite counterintuitive, but it still works if you learn the timing. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the nades to use. On attack, I think the best combo is a nade and a smoke. You should be using your smoke to cross long distances along with your dash, so that you can enter with your team, and also so that you can cut off angles while fighting. Your nade can be used to engage with people, or it can also be used to finish downed people for your teammates. Since Baimo's movement is very versatile, you want to use your nades in a way that allows you to take more space, and also to get out of tough spots. On defense, the best combo is a nade once again, and a slow nade. The slow nade should be used to fend off people running into your site, so that you can slow them down, and keep them out. However, it's also good because of the fact that they're going to be out of paper. This means that you can get loads and loads of damage, which Baimo loves to do. This means you can get loads and loads of damage, as Baimo capitalizes when people aren't in paper. The slow nade can also be used on flanking to surprise people. You can chuck it on someone just before you start shooting them, meaning that they can't go into paper to stall for their team. The nade should be used in a similar way to how you would use it on attack. The last point I want to talk about is aim training with Baimo. While there isn't many Strinova specific playlists, there are many other playlists that can be applied and work just the same. For example, the playlist I like to use to improve my shotgun aim is this one called Fortnite Safaruni Shotgun. Here's the code for it. I'll put the code in the description as well, so don't worry about that. This playlist has 6 tests, however I don't think playing grid shot is important. This first one, it doesn't really help your aim that much, it's just kind of a score tester. I mean, you can play it if you have fun with it, but it's not necessary. These next 5 tasks are the ones that can really help you. I recommend going through these maybe once before you play, and once after you play. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about this though. Your aim can definitely get better just by playing the game, and it's really not required that you play things like this. But just for the people that want it, this is what I would do. And that's it. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed anything, or if there's anything else you want me to go over. I'll try and respond to everyone in the comments that I can, and I'll try and answer all your questions. Once again, it would mean a lot if you could subscribe. I put a lot of work into this video and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, I'm streaming a lot on Twitch, so once again, I would really appreciate it if you could follow me there as well. I'll be streaming high level games, and I might even stream an educational unranked super string Baimo guide, so make sure you're there for that. I'll leave a link in the description. So now you have everything you need to go and play Baimo. I'm hoping to see some more of you on the leaderboard, and some more Baimos climbing the ranks. Good luck guys, and thank you for watching. See ya!